Hi, welcome to Minutes with Mickey, a time to wonder about the story, The Death of Jezebel. We find the information from this story in 2 Kings chapters 9 and 10, and there's more to it than just the death of Jezebel. Coming into this story, I remember that I was told this story when I was a young girl, and I have some very strong memories of my mother telling me something about this story, and I want to share that with you in just a minute. But the first question that I have is, I find it very interesting that I think it's important to go back to 1 Kings chapter 21, where we have the story of Ahab, the judgment that Elijah puts on Ahab and his family because of the treachery with which he received Naboth's field. So I think it's important that you go back and take a look at that because these tie into the fulfillment of these prophecies. Jehu is doing exactly what God has told him to do, and that is to completely destroy Ahab's family and relatives, all the descendants, everything. And he is doing it in great obedience. I think John mentions in his insights about how if it had been war, there would be, two armies fighting against each other. There would have been a lot more deaths. With the way Jehu did this, he just went ahead and grabbed those people that were simply from Ahab's family and obeyed God. This was a way of cleansing Israel and getting Israel rid of all that was so evil, as opposed to two armies fighting and having lots of innocent deaths. So I think that was really a good point, and I like that. What I find interesting and what I remember from my mom, and that is that as a child, I remember asking her, why is it that the dogs didn't eat Jezebel's head and her feet and her hands? I remember as a child thinking how awful it was that the dogs would have to eat that kind of food, human people. It would be awful. But they left behind the feet and the hands and the head. And my mother put this imagery in my mind, and so I want to sort of share it with you and see what you think. Even the dogs were smart enough to know not to have anything to do with the thoughts that Jezebel had that were in her mind, or to have anything to do with what her hands had done or where her feet had gone. Now, isn't that interesting? It almost can take us back to that little song that we learned as a child. Be careful, little eyes, what you see. So be careful, little eyes, what you see. For the Lord is up above, and he's looking down with love. So be careful, little eyes, what you see. Be careful, little eyes, little ears, little mouth. It's all part of our head. And of course, our thoughts, what we think. Be careful, little hands, what we do. And be careful, little feet, where we go. So I wonder, what are you bringing into your head and your mind and your body through your mouth and through your ears and through your eyes? What is your mind thinking about? Where are your hands serving or not serving? What are your hands doing? And where are you going with your feet? We know that Jezebel was really, really evil. And her mouth was able to steer Ahab into the evil that he did, because we see that in 1 Kings chapter 21. I'll go back and take a look at that again. It says here that after all that Jehu had done and in obedience with God, I'd love it if you would go and take a look at what it says in the text in 2 Kings 10, verses 28 and 29. It's so great. Jehu destroyed Baal worship in Israel, verse 28. That's what he not only did he destroy all of Ahab's relatives, Jezebel, the whole thing, but he also was able to destroy all of Baal's worship. Verse 29. However, he did not turn away from the sins of